last time we covered some stuff?
Sure. Honestly, that's the part that freaks me out the most. Planning and deciding what goes where, in what order, and which little details go in which overarching category and so on. And I would like to think it was easy. And it seemed like in the last class you were kind of just saying, yeah, 1, 2, 3, it goes like this. It's really easy. That would be fabulous, but I just don't believe it yet. So
okay.
Maybe a little more on that, or maybe other suggestions from the class would be really nice or helpful.
Okay. Any other before I address what Alex just said?
Non-believer. So you're a non-believer.
The way it works, and I can absolutely understand that.
Believer.
I can understand that if I do it in 20 minutes, it might seem like I'm rushing through it a little too much, and you might think, okay, yeah, it's easy for you, but how do we physically do it? How do we really get our thought to what you said? And kind of on the same note, do you say Lale? That's how you say your name? Lale asked me a question after class last time, which I think is addressing similar issues to Alex. She said, okay, so when I physically do it, and when I actually present this, and you're having a conference presentation, or you're presenting in front of your peers, and there's this moment where you're supposed to do an introduction to your article, which is your lit review. Is that in your introduction? Where do you put this? Well, I would put it as your main point, your first main point. So the way, Alex, I think you guys can think about it is, you are going to have 3 parts of whatever you're saying. You are going to have the introduction that I mentioned last time, right? You're going to have your body, and you're going to have your conclusion. And think about it almost this way. This is really what you have to say. This is just fulfilling the requirements. It's like in a conversation, when you talk to someone on the phone, you have to say hello, then you have to, if you're in the United States, say how are you, and then they have to say good, how are you, and then you have to say good, and then you can move on to an actual conversation. So think about this as your, hi, how are you, good, how are you, good, okay, and this needs to be there. And then, continuing the metaphor of the phone conversation, you don't usually hang up on people randomly in the middle of a sentence. You usually say, okay, so let's do it like we said, and then if you have any questions, email me. Oh, okay, I will. Okay, it was great talking to you. Okay, it was great talking to you. Bye. This needs to be at the end, right? So these 2 things are sort of like saying hello to your audience. How are you? Good. How are you? And this is sort of telling your audience, oh, it's been great meeting you. Absolutely, we have to do it again sometime. This is saying goodbye to your audience. So these are 2 things that, like in every conversation, have to be there, otherwise it's going to be awkward. And that's why I said, think about those as having certain elements. You need to get their attention, you're going to introduce your topic, you're going to establish your credibility, and then you're going to move on to previewing your main points. Now, what I feel Alex has an issue with, or is asking me, okay, physically how I do it, is this. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. I want to talk about my research. I want to talk about my thesis. How do I really make this structure very clean? How do I make this seem as easy as my hello, how are you? Well, there are certain tricks that you can do to do that as well. First of all, think about it when you work on your working outline before you move on to your delivery outline. Think about it in this way. What do I want to be the outcome? I'm giving a presentation. This presentation has a purpose, right? What it needs to end with for me. So for instance, after I'm done, I want everybody in the room to know what? My name, maybe. what I do, maybe a field, and what are, if I were to choose 3 things that I want them to remember when they're leaving the room, that are absolutely essential about my research, what would that be? And those can be your main points. If you think about it and you think, okay, what is really, really, really important to know if you want to understand what I'm doing? Well, this is really important. Okay, let's use an example because it's going to be harder without an example. Anybody has an example they want to use? That I could follow, so hopefully not black hole and galaxy, because I might not
Yeah, maybe after saw the zebras, we like them.
The zebra. Okay, no, that's a good idea. Okay, so what is it that you study? What is it that you do your research on?
Okay. I might need to revise this to 3 different points.
You can use 2, 4,
Okay.
5, however it works for you.
All right. I'm trying to look at variability in zebras' response to people,
Okay.
such as ecotourists.
Mm-hmm.
Different types of that, like hiking, horseback riding, maybe even bicycling.
Biking, horse riding, and
Hiking.
hiking. Okay.
And
what are your hypotheses? What do you think that are going to happen, that they do or they don't do, or they will always do or never do?
okay, well, you mentioned one more thing because it
Of
goes
course.
together for the hypothesis. I want to look at the differences between a direct approach and kind of a tangential approach.
Physically, like as in if I'm looking zebra in the face or I'm on zebra's side. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can kind of put those 2 together to yield some hypotheses. So I'm thinking that for walkers, for hikers, that the type of approach matters. And so the direct one will scare them and they'll leave sooner. But the tangential approach will be less scary, so they will take flight at a significantly closer distance, if that makes sense.
Could you walk directly towards them, like facing sideways? Like a zebra here and
I hadn't thought about that.
And what is your hypothesis? That the walker direct is going to be scary? Okay. More scary than the walker side?
Yes.
Okay. And then biker direct is going to be what?
To be honest, I'm on the fence about even using biking at all because
Okay.
it's complicated.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Horse direct, scary or not scary?
With horses, I think both direct and side or tangential are going to be about equally scary and less